And hello again. Welcome to another video that I've got going on here in Guild Wars 2. What I'm going to talk to you about today is a little bit of crafting, a little bit of the armorsmithing and weaponsmithing. Basically, that's what I have as a character. So basically, the ways to learn armorsmith and weaponsmith, or even leatherworking, huntsman, that sort of thing. There's a couple of places that you can go to do that. One of those is Lion's Arch, which is kind of the big neutral city that kind of everybody goes to. The other is in your hometown, your racial hometown. So I'm just in Lion's Arch right now, just because that just happens to be where I am. But you're going to look on your map, and you're going to go up here. Now, you have the choice. There's Weaponsmith, Huntsmith, Leather, Cooking, Jewel, Armorsmith, Artifice. Those are the different professions that you can choose. You can have 2 professions at any given time. It's a little bit different than in other games, and I'll use WoW as an example. But, in WoW, you can be a blacksmith and a miner. In this particular one, anybody can be a miner. Just as long as you have the proper tool equipped, you can mine ore, you can cut down trees, and you can also gather food, or gather herbs and different things that you can use for your cooking skill. So what I'm going to show you is a little bit of how the weaponsmithing and armorsmithing works. So I'm already maxed out my weaponsmithing, but I can still show you here. So I'm at a weaponsmithing station, and at each station there's going to be somebody, an NPC that is going to sell some supplies that are kind of vital for for you to make some of your items. So for, say, a weaponsmith, usually it's tin, coal, and primordium. And what you can use these is to mix with your ore, and that actually creates some of your bars. Okay, so another thing that they sell, and this is important, especially when you get to the higher levels, they also sell. Especially here in Lion's Arch, here's one little trick that not a lot of people realize, is you can buy salvage kits, some of the better salvage kits for karma. So far as what I've seen, they're the only ones in the game that can do that, but that's pretty cool. I would personally rather not spend money. I tend to go through a lot of money, and it always seems that I'm really low. So I always have lots and lots of karma. So I usually spend my karma to get my gathering stuff. So even if you look at the high end stuff, or the top stuff, the orichalcum, for 350 karma, yeah, I'll pick up a few of those. Basically, that's one event. You get a gold medal in one event at level 80. Basically, that's going to pay for one of those. So it ends up being worth it. Obviously, orichalcum, especially if you're getting the higher level ores and stuff, they certainly pay for themselves. But the other thing that they sell is the insignias, or the inscriptions that you're going to need to make some of your rare gear, and eventually some of your exotic gear. That's how I made all my gear. I ended up using this Berserker's one here. It is a little pricey if you end up buying all of them at once, which I ended up doing. It ended up costing like 20,000, 25,000 karma between weaponsmithing and armorsmithing. But again, now I'm able to make any of these inscriptions that I want, and I can create gear. Now, how the gear works, it's pretty easy. I'll try to explain it as best as possible though. So I'm going to open up the tab here, and the first thing it's going to show is everything that I can make so far as a weaponsmith. It's going to show all of my components and all the weapons that I've discovered. Now, the reason I say discovered is because you are given very little as far as plans that you can make just kind of on your own, that are just kind of generic plans that everybody can make. The way they did the crafting is that you actually have to discover. You have to discover your weapons. You have to discover the patterns. And I'm kind of glad they did that, because it's not really a challenge, but it's just one little extra thing that requires just a little bit more effort. It's not as simple as it is just to talk to a trainer and learn a skill. So here's a really, really simple way of how to discover an item. So along with your refinement, this refinement stuff you will learn automatically. So how to refine these dowels and ingots, and planks and all that sort of thing. That stuff you're going to learn automatically. So there's no recipes for that you're going to learn on your own. The other thing that you learn automatically are the actual components themselves, so the crafting components, okay? So it starts off with bronze, and then it goes to iron, goes to steel, dark steel, mithril, and orichalcum. Now, if I want to make a sword, for example, what I'm going to do is I need to have two components to make a sword. So they've given me a blade, and they've given me a hilt. Now, if I were to just take a hilt and a blade and combine it together, I wouldn't be able to make anything. But what I need to have is I need to have some kind of inscription. Where are my inscriptions here? Did I already pass them? Oh yeah, inscriptions. I'm probably going too fast here. Here, inscription. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine my two pieces that I'm going to make for my weapon. So in this case, we'll make it a sword and a sword. So I'm going to make one of those. So I need a few ingots. I'm going to make a few of those. So I'm going to make a few ingots. Actually, I'm going to make a few of those just because I need them anyway. So one of the other nice things, and I really like how they did this. So you see how I need to make 34 of these? Well, under normal games, it would take 5 minutes, to go through them all. But the nice thing is when you're crafting multiple components, it speeds up. Zoop, 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 zoop. It realizes that you don't want to sit there all day and wait and wait and wait and wait. So it goes really fast, actually. So I just made 34 in the matter of, just a matter of seconds. So now I have all these ingots. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you this for demonstration here. So that was all mithril. So let's just go to sword here. Yeah, so sword hilt. If I want to make a hilt, I'm going to craft that. Actually, I'm going to craft it just to show you. Craft. Now this obviously isn't going to give me any experience because it's all grayed out. There's different colors that will tell you basically how much experience you're going to get when you craft something. You do get some experience from actually crafting the items, but you get more experience, a whole lot more experience when you actually discover something. All right, now when you discover something, you are going to click on the Discovery tab, and this is going to show me all the components that I can use to actually discover something. So you see I just made my hilt, so I'm going to double click on that, and it's going to put it in here. So right now it says, okay, there's 17 possible recipes. Okay, so let's and now what it's going to do is it's actually going to gray out components that I cannot use with this item. So it was really smart that they did that. So I'm just not guessing and mixing and matching. So obviously with a sword, I'm going to have a blade. So now I have a blade. Now the one piece that I'm missing is an inscription or an insignia. I'm not sure what they're called for the other professions, but it's the same premise. You need two components, hilt, blade, and then inscription. And what will happen is once you get the inscription there, it'll say a new recipe seems available, and it'll give you the option to craft it. You craft it, it'll create the weapon, and then you can make it for good. You can make it for good permanently. You'll always know that. So for example, I have my weapon. I'll show you my weapon here. The weapon that I made is this guy here, Berserker's Pearl Sword, Broadsword of the Berserker. Pretty good little weapon actually. Stats are great on it. It hits really hard, and that's what it is. I probably need a better. I should probably put a rune or something in there as opposed to the gem, but I haven't really delved into that too much. But in order to make this weapon, here's what I had to do. I had to make an orichalcum greatsword blade, an orichalcum greatsword hilt. And then I had to have my inscription, and my inscription in this case was Berserker's. Sorry, no, that's not it. Let's go to inscription. Inscription. Here we go. Berserker's orichalcum imbued inscription. Now these kind of are expensive actually to get these vials of powerful blood. They're not cheap. The globs of ectoplasm aren't cheap, and it's not cheap to make this stuff. So it's actually kind of expensive. If you were to buy all of these components on your own, just as is, and not farm anything, you're probably looking currently, as the market stands, between 2 and 3 gold for all these pieces. So I need my inscription and my 2 pieces. I go to Discovery, and now I can, and it makes that sword for me. So basically, then you have the pattern learned permanently. So you don't have to discover it every time. So here it is, the hilt, the blade, and the inscription. Now, when depending on the rarity of the item that you've discovered, so if it's a master item or if it's a rare item or exotic item, you're going to get more experience for the more rare of the items. So, which obviously makes sense. It's harder to make, it requires more mats, so you're going to gain experience. Cool thing about crafting in this game is it gives you experience not only to level up your skill, all right, it gives you experience in game. Now, the amount of experience you get, you can gain 10 levels. If you level one profession from 1 to 400, you can gain 10 levels that way, which is pretty sweet. That's, you know, not bad for just sitting back and creating items of things that things that you've farmed through the course of the game. So here's my Armorsmith as well. Cool thing about Armorsmith is it can make some boxes. They're kind of expensive to make. I've made 15 slot because they're kind of in the price range that I'm going to be sticking with, but it's the same kind of thing. So these are the boots that I'm wearing right now, Berserker's Draconic boots. They are exotic. So they took a boot lining, a boot casing, and my insignia. When I mix it all together, and when I discover it, this is what comes. These are the boots that I'm making. And again, I know I'm wearing a wrong rune. I just picked something that was cheap. So please don't harp on me about my rune. I know it's not right. I'm going to be changing it. Don't worry, I will change it. So that's basically it for the crafting. It's similar for most of the other crafting across the board. The one crafting I haven't done yet is the chef. Once I get in the chef stuff, apparently the chef is really expensive and you do get a lot of mats for it. But it's nice to know that you can make your own gear that ends up being really high level and really powerful. See, I made all this gear. This is all exotic gear too, by the way. So this gear is actually a lot stronger than most of the other gear that you're going to see out in the world. But the gear that's out there in the other, in the world that you can buy with Karma and the cultural sets, what they're going to do is change the look of it. So if you're satisfied right now for just making gear that's going to make you strong, certainly armor smithing and weaponsmithing, as far as a heavy armor goes for a warrior, it's certainly the way to go, because it wasn't too difficult to make this. It was annoying. Well, yeah, it was a little tricky trying to gain the amount of money, the amount of gold, because really the powerful vials, the vials of powerful blood it's a really rare drop. It doesn't happen very often. There are certain mobs that you can farm, but they don't drop very often. So the globs of ectoplasm, you can get them if you salvage rare items at level 80. They will drop out of that. But for the most part, the vials are a little tough. So I ended up having to buy some of those, and they end up being expensive. So to make this full set of gear, in the current market price, you're probably looking at about 3 gold a pop for each of these pieces. And then for my weapon, the same kind of thing. You're looking at about 3 gold. I probably should get somebody to make me a rifle. But then you look at my spear, same thing. It's an exotic piece of gear. It's probably about 3 gold. So I'm probably sitting on about 30 gold right now worth of gear-ish. Wait. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, and if I were to make a new weapon, yeah, you're looking at about 25 gold. So you can probably buy your gear, but if you have these as professions, don't bother. Definitely make it yourself. So anyways, that's a quick little rundown of what you can do in weaponsmithing, what you can do in armor smithing. It's really cool. I'm really glad they did it that way. It's certainly another unique facet to Guild Wars 2. So yeah, be sure to check out my other videos, subscribe to my channel. You can follow me on Twitter at AxelXGaming, and thanks for watching.